Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something genuinely profound. It's an ancient parable that's been passed down for generations. And while it might sound like just a simple fable at first, it's actually an incredibly practical framework for emotional intelligence. Philosophers, monks, and wise leaders have literally used this for centuries to deeply understand themselves. So get ready to look inward, because this concept absolutely has the power to change how you process every single day of your life. We've got to start with this highly relatable question. Why do I sometimes feel bad inside, even when I really don't want to? Now, this is the exact question a young boy asked his grandfather one evening. Earlier that day, another kid had taken the boy's carved wooden top, and the boy felt this sudden, frightening heat rise up in his chest, a real desire to hurt, and he angrily pushed the other child to the ground. He ran home feeling so ashamed and confused by his own reaction. You see, he kind of liked the feeling of hurting the other boy in that split second, and that terrified him. He just didn't understand his own darkness.
Section 1. The battle inside you. The grandfather's answer reveals that this isn't some simple children's story about external good and evil. No, it's actually about the terrible, invisible war taking place inside every single human heart.
Section 2. Meet the two wolves. He explains that there are two distinct wolves living inside you, me, and everyone who's ever walked the earth. And this brilliantly illustrates the dichotomy. On one side, we have the dark wolf. His fur is matted, his eyes are yellow, and he is always starving. He's your anger, your envy, that sharp little ache when someone else has what you don't. He's your ego, your resentment, and your cruelty. But on the other side is the good wolf. His fur is clean, and his eyes are calm. He represents quiet love, peace, the willingness to let the small things go, immense kindness, humility, and the kind of patient courage that doesn't need to prove itself to anyone. These two forces are constantly clashing within your mind. Naturally, the young boy sat there, absorbing this intense reality, and he asked the question that every single one of us would ask. Grandfather, which wolf wins? The old man looked at him with the weary, gentle face of someone who had fought this internal battle 1,000 times, and he delivered this legendary, heavy answer. The one you feed. It's really that simple, and it's that profound. Your internal victor is entirely determined by your own daily nourishment. Section 3. The Grandfather's Secret. Okay, let's dive into this next part, because this is where our explainer takes a massive, dramatic pivot. It's going to challenge absolutely everything we think we know about our negative emotions. Think about this highly logical follow-up question the boy asks. But grandfather, if I feed the good wolf every single day, will the bad one go away? Will he die? It perfectly reflects our modern assumption, doesn't it? We tend to assume that the ultimate goal of personal growth or discipline is to completely eradicate and destroy our inner darkness, to kill off the bad wolf entirely so we never feel anger or envy ever again. Well, the grandfather just gives a soft, tired, loving laugh. He looks right at the boy and says, "No, child, he will not go away, not in this life." He emphasizes that the dark wolf is going to be there on your wedding day, when your kids are born, and when you're old and gray. Honestly, anyone claiming you can permanently kill your dark side simply hasn't looked closely enough at themselves. Now, what's really interesting here is how this reframes our villain. The grandfather explains that this dark wolf is actually a vital survival mechanism. I mean, this is the wolf that kept our ancestors alive through freezing winters and famines. His anger has protected the weak. His fear has saved your life more than once. He is your primal fire, your raw strength, and your energetic courage. He is not your enemy. The goal is not to kill him. The point is to deeply know him so you can manage him. Section 4, the daily choice. So, let's transition into the practical mechanics of how this ancient metaphor applies directly to our daily habits and the continuous choices we make. So, if we can't kill the dark wolf, what exactly do we do? Well, the grandfather explains that your thoughts, your words, and your actions are the actual meat that you feed to these wolves. When you sit around entertaining cruel thoughts, nursing an old grudge, or gossiping, you're actively throwing raw meat to the dark wolf. You're making him stronger and louder. Conversely, when you choose to forgive, take a deep breath instead of snapping back in anger, or just speak a kind word when no one's watching, you are feeding the good wolf. Every tiny interaction is direct sustenance to one of these animals. And this brings us to an incredibly powerful piece of wisdom. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
When you lay awake in bed at 2 a.m., obsessively replaying an insult from 10 years ago because it just feels good to be right, you're just feeding the dark wolf. And the tragic irony here, the person who hurt you is probably sleeping peacefully. You're the only one suffering.
Section 5. Conquering yourself. Intentionally choosing which wolf eats every hour of every day is exhausting. Honestly, it's harder than plowing a field or building a house. But it is the absolute only work of your life that truly matters.
Let's move to and see how this builds. It starts incredibly small. You feed a wolf a thought. But watch those thoughts, because they become your words. Watch your words, for they become your actions. Actions repeat into habits. Habits forge your character. And your character ultimately becomes your destiny. A simple, fleeting thought of jealousy or kindness quietly constructs the entire future of who you'll become.
So, the crucial point is this. He who conquers others is strong, but he who conquers himself is mighty. When you reach the end of your life and look back, you won't be remembered for what happened to you. You won't just be the sum of your external circumstances. You'll be remembered entirely by which wolf you chose to feed.
The mind is everything. What you think, you become. Your absolute worst enemy doesn't live down the street. Your worst enemy lives strictly between your ears. The ultimate goal of this ancient framework is for you to know your inner darkness, your inner fire, so incredibly well that it no longer rules you. You acknowledge it, sure, but you don't let it drive the car.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer. I want to leave you with a direct challenge to answer honestly in your own mind. Which wolf have you been feeding lately? And really, what is one small thing you'll do differently starting today? There's absolutely no shame in the answer, only awareness. Because the second you become aware, you take back your power to choose differently tomorrow. So pick one small thing to feed the good wolf today. The wolves are real, they're inside you right now, and they're waiting to see who gets fed. Choose wisely.